What's up, world, and welcome back to the Global Frequency. I am your host, Nefarious.
And I'm Frequency Girl.
And tonight we've got Telepathic Bunny, a.k.a. S.A. Cooper, here to tell us all about his creator-owned comic book crowdfunding campaign, community service, Escape from Little Bighorn, the preamble. Now live on Fund My Comic, Cooper, what's up?
Hello. Thanks for having me.
We are more than happy to have you.
Rabbit hole every once in a while, so it's nice to return the favor.
Yeah, we do indeed. It's a fun spot down that rabbit hole. Yeah, you've been YouTubing for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, about 3 years. Yeah.
Wow, he's got some experience under his belt. We've been meaning to get you on here today for a while, as we said, but now is finally the time, and we're here to talk about your book. But first, why don't you tell us all where you're from and what you do when you're not moonlighting as a comic book creator?
Well, I am from the foothills of North Carolina, out west, and I actually work at a factory, one of the last weave mills left in the United States, the continental United States. The rest of them have gone overseas. So,
that's awesome. How long have you been doing that?
16 years. So, been a little while. Yeah. It's
Do you have like a pension?
Probably somewhere. They want me to do the 401k thing, but I'm not convinced that's always a good option. So, yeah. And
when you were growing up, what kind of comic books did you like to read?
Well, I was a big team-up guy. I love the bigger team comics, like the X-Men. Was a big fan of that, especially anything written by Weezy Simonson. And Claremont's a big hero of mine. I also liked, the various Avengers, particularly the West Coast Avengers, because they were always a bunch of screw-ups.
Felt a kinship there.
Yeah. There you go. I dabbled in DC. I wasn't a big DC guy, but I did dabble in DC. Particularly Justice Society. That particular. So, I always like the second tier characters. I like the ones that
second tier teams. Yeah, it sounds like you're a second string kind of guy, rooting for the underdogs, and you like the team dynamic, the ensemble cast.
Yeah, I like the teams where these people shouldn't even be in the same room, much less the same team. And so there's always like that drama. All this clashing personalities and things like that. So, which is pretty much what my book is, So,
did you ever read Next Wave, Agents of Hate? I don't know if you got that one, but it was one of the only team books that had Aaron Stack, my favorite Machine Man character, and it had Monica Rambeau as Photon. And it was hilarious because she was always like, shit like this never happened when I led the Avengers. And it was always this callback to the fact that, yeah, but you're not the Avengers leader anymore. And that's like your only claim to fame. And like, it was just so well written. They really got the characters, and they were just a bunch of screw ups too. All of their personalities were just clashing all the time, but in the best way. It wasn't awkward. It was, if you ever get a chance, go check out Next Wave, Agents of Hate. It's hilarious. I really enjoyed it. Did you ever have like a favorite arc for West Coast Avengers or for Justice Society? Was there like a favorite storyline of yours?
Well, for the X-Men, my favorite storyline was the Mutant Massacre. But I was always more of an X Factor guy than I was an of the X teams, X Factor was kind of like my big one. So the whole arc where they met Apocalypse and Archangel became Archangel was a really big favorite of mine. Justice Society, I like the arc where it's one of the last ones before DC went completely woke, and it was Gog and Magog kind of shows up in the that particular version of the DC universe, and guy from Kingdom Come. So all the Kingdom Come characters started popping up, like Kingdom Come Superman, Gog Magog showed up. So I like that arc pretty good. My favorite character of DC entirely is a character by the name of Damage.
Yeah, I don't know if I know that one.
Well, he the first thing he did as a young hero was blow up downtown Atlanta. So
You got a thing against Georgia? I mean,
well, I do now.
maybe Georgia has something against you now. My favorite character blew up your city. Yeah.
Isn't that happening at the Olympics in Atlanta?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Is that
they
damage?
were in Atlanta.
Or
Yeah.
something at the Olympics.
Who knows?
I don't remember. Anyway.
Let's take this moment right here before we go any further to say hello to our wonderful chat. What is up, nerds? Starting with Creators Outlet. Thanks so much for tuning in, Will. We've also got Genuine Comics Dave Brink with us. I know it's got to be late over there.
Or early.
'Cause Dave's Dutch and their
And
their
they're in a
time zone
different
is
part
all
of the
sorts
world
of
than
different.
We are.
We've also got Mo Biggs with us. Thanks so much for tuning in, Mo. It wouldn't be a show without you. We got you in the chat. We've also got Mr. Matt Barr. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we got Luke Death Metal Hero. What is up, Neff and Frank? What's up?
Death Metal Hero. Sorry. I think I had too much sugar. Not enough. Not sure.
It's possible.
I'll
It's
find out.
possible.
Yeah.
We've also got Mrs. Good Stuff with us. It's been a while, Mrs. Good Stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in. Glad to see you here with us. We got Hicks. What is up, Hicks Villain? And we have got The Gutter. Now, I don't know if that's Aldous or LCH or Raiden Radio. I'm not sure which of the Gutters it is, but The Gutter is with us, and we are with The Gutter.
Death Metal Hero says next wave was great.
Warren Ellis, yeah, man, he's got to be one of my top 5 comic book writers. I don't care what anybody says. That man knows how to write a book.
A beautiful, beautiful.
Well, I mean,
Someone-
for all his faults, he definitely knows how to write a book. So you can never take that away.
Someone time her out. Just time her out.
But is it
It's
Brian
Aldous,
or
driving.
is it a.k.a. Aerith? I'm not sure.
No, Brian is Budvitas. If it's Brian, then Brian can stay. If it's a.k.a. Aerith, I don't allow bots in my chat, so that's just kind of the way it is. So when you were growing up, did you like to read
Drive safely, Aldous.
G.I. Joe by any chance, or maybe Captain America? Because I kind of get the vibe from community service. I get G.I. Joe and Captain America.
Well, G.I. Joe, no, but I did like the cartoon pretty good. But I did read a lot of Captain America. Big fan of Captain America. So,
Do you have a favorite arc?
yeah, I actually really liked the Bucky Cap arc. I really liked it. Just the whole idea of this guy with this much to make up for, and also a guy who's steeped in espionage, and he's supposed to be a national hero, and he's actually undercover a lot, and having to kind of like hide who he is, so I just love that whole dichotomy there. And but yeah, so pretty much the whole thing that birthed my book was the whole Captain saying Hail Hydra. So yeah.
Now, why was that in particular an impetus for you to create this book?
Well,
What about it was I mean, like, people don't just go, you know what, I think we're going to pour $6,000 into something I may not know anything about.
Right. Well, because at that time it was a Captain America had become a cultural touchstone. This is right after Winter Soldier, and people were starting to kind of mention him in the same breath as Batman. He had he'd made it to the normies. You know, they started wearing shield shirts and things like that, and he was like, guess there's a populist kind of undercurrent to the nation at that time. This is actually right before Trump was voted in, and so this was kind of like part of that wave that was building, and then they just completely, totally committed suicide, and then they crossed the Rubicon and destroyed one of their pillars of Marvel Comics. They destroyed their Superman basically, and
well, they've done that before, though, hadn't they?
Well, not to this degree.
Well, I mean, look, they literally they killed Cap. They had Cap commit suicide. They had Cap quit being Cap. They had Cap decide to go rogue from the USA and become Nomad. Mm-hmm. They had Cap decide to quit the job because he couldn't marry Peggy. There was a lot of times that Cap quit being Cap, or died, or disappeared, or even turned evil. There was a whole event. I mean, I'll get into this. You were saying, you didn't like how they had Cap say "Hail Hydra." Is that because that's like a betrayal of the character? Is it because he's leaning, they're leaning so much into the Hydra dynamic? What was it about saying "Hail Hydra" specifically that offended you? I mean, he didn't die. He didn't fade from existence. He kind of turned heel, right? He had a heel turn, and that's happened in the past. But what was it?
Okay, well, because in the past there was a core to his being that was left intact. There was he was always about the country, never about the government, and all these conflicts came in when he was basically rebelling against the government. But he'd always.
Sorry. Mo Big says he should have hailed Crackback instead.
Yeah, that would have actually got him murders. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But there was always a core logic. There was always a core to his personality, a part of him that wasn't twisted. But right before he said "Hail Hydra," he kicked his friend out the door, to his death. And,
yeah, the helicopter, right?
And so this was like they messed with who he is basically as a person. They messed with the core of him. They never did that before. No matter what he went through, no matter where he went, he always had this core truth about him. And by having him voluntarily, under no duress, say "Hail Hydra," and then they retconned it that he'd been this all along.
But it also turned out that it was memories implanted by Red Skull that was part of a big event that was caused by fuckery from the Cosmic Cube, which is happening at the tail end of All New, All Different Marvel in 2016. I mean, yeah, it wasn't under duress, right? But it's the same as any of those other events, like the one I'm going to mention, where shit went sideways and good guys became bad guys, and they did a big heel turn to try and shock the fans and shake things up and get sales, and then they just turned everything back 6 issues later. In fact, there was a whole team that was put together to try and stop Red Skull with the Cosmic Cube, and it was like all these diverse heroes, and at the end they wound up not being able to do it, and Captain America has to come back out of time to beat up himself, Evil Cap, and stop. So the white man comes back to save the day. You get it? It's a hilarious kind of inversion of the inversion. So it's kind of it was a shocking moment, but that resolves in a way where you're like, it was just another one of those moments where a good guy got to be a bad guy because Nick Spencer thought it would be edgy to have Cap say "Hail Hydra." I was actually just looking into this earlier because your reason for making this book kind of hits a lot of the people's reasons for getting into comics in the past 5-6 years. People started getting into indie comics, into Comicsgate, into crowdfunded comics around 2016, 2017, when the whole All New, All Different Marvel thing reached its climax, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we had Amadeus Cho take over as the Incredible Hulk because Hawkeye killed Bruce Banner, right? We had Cap go and get replaced by Falcon. We had the emergence of Miles Morales. We had Jane Foster Thor. We had the all different Axel Alonso run of Marvel superheroes, which was Marvel Next 2.0. Marvel Next actually started in 2012. Good 4 years before any of this other stuff is actually occurring. Cap did the whole Hail Hydra at the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, and this is after the Axis event, and that's kind of what I want to point to. The Axis event was a crossover with X-Men and Avengers and happened in 2014, and it saw the rise of Superior Iron Man, who to this day is one of the villains that I look at and go, wait, why doesn't anyone have a problem with this guy? Because there was some mix-up with Doctor Doom and Scarlet Witch, where they cast a spell and it wound up turning everybody into bad guys, including Cap, the rest of the Avengers, and Tony Stark. But Tony Stark at that time, because he's such a smart guy, figured out a way to remain evil when they reversed the magical effect that made everyone bad. And it was one of those heel turns, right? You saw Cap being an asshole, saying shit that he didn't mean, but then they put everything back. Except for Tony, who figured out a technological means to shield himself from magic so he could remain as the Superior Iron Man. And then what he proceeded to do was to release Extremis 3.0 to try and enslave the population by giving them cures for their ailments, almost like genetically altering them to improve them and make them perfect people. So we have an event called Axis, which gives rise to a superior man who sees himself as superior, who then goes out and cleanses these people of their defects and then begins charging them like $100 a day to keep them perfect, right? Mm-hmm. Does this sound like anybody that you might know from history, like a historical figure? Honestly, the drugs bit, like, he turns into an evil pharma bro. He turns into Martin Shkreli, like, because he's charging everybody $100 a day to keep their subscription to the app that gives them their drugs that cures their problems. Like, he even cured Daredevil's blindness, I think. He was like, it's an imperfection. Here, let me fix it for you. By the way, that'll be $100 a day, right? I mean, like, just a horrible version of Iron Man. And we see that Iron Man for quite some time. That was 2 years before the Hail Hydra moment. Like, why doesn't anybody react to that moment where they literally made Pharma Bro Hitler Tony Stark?
Well, because Tony Stark was fundamentally flawed all along, and he was always on the edge anyway. And so Tony Stark doing a heel turn is one thing, but having someone who's as, at his core, as honorable and as Captain America go, say, hey, all along I've been part of Hydra all along, and but they were messing with something fundamental. They were messing with they were basically declaring that it was all bets were off. Anything was on the table. There are no lines we won't cross, and I think that was a Rubicon. That was basically telling all those writers that, it doesn't matter what you want to do to these characters, whatever sells, that's what we'll do, or even if it doesn't sell, whatever whatever agenda you want to push, go ahead and push it, because nothing's sacred. No, there is no lines that you can't cross, and so, seeing that happen with Captain America, just from that moment in time, and that it felt almost hostile to the fandom. It felt like something that they did.
So what I'm hearing is you interpreted that moment a certain way. You inferred from that what Marvel was doing with the character was turning Cap into a Nazi, right? Yeah. And everyone was like, Nick Spencer sucks because he's destroying the fandom. There were articles written. I mean, people even went so far as to say he was destroying the queer undertones of the Captain America comic by having him be this Hydra agent because Nazis hated gays. Like, everybody was piling on Nick Spencer for this from all sides. So it was a very, I'd say, controversial choice. It wasn't even like it was just the wokies that this was appealing to. This was a story that made Cap the bad guy, but it was all the Red Skull manipulating time with the cosmic cube and implanting memories in Cap's head. That was the real reason for it. But what I'm getting is that you inferred from that Marvel was trying to say, fuck the fans, fuck what you like, fuck what's sacred about the past, we're going to kill it, and there's nothing you can do about it. Why do you think you interpreted it that way?
Well, I'd interpreted it that way because they were killing the Golden Goose at that time. They had a very hot character, a character who had, like I said, made it to normiedom. He made it into the zeitgeist. He made it into the consciousness of America, and people who had no interest in comics were adopting him. And so to do it at that juncture, at that time, knowing what he had become to the country, just felt like a hostile act to me.
So if everybody who was like getting into, like you said, the zeitgeist, right? All of these people who loved the movies, who had the figures, who were wearing the shirts, and really didn't know that much about Captain America as a character in the comics.
Right.
What do you think changing the comic book would do to those people? They're not getting into it because of the comics. They're not even reading the comics. The perception that Marvel has a character that's going to be a golden goose, it's making them money off the films, the merchandising, the clothing, and the figures and toys. It's not making money on the books. That like isn't a thing. Comic books aren't keeping
it could
studios
just be
afloat.
Entirely my perception of the whole thing. And
I'm thinking that it might be, and I'm thinking that there are a lot of people just like you that see it that way. And I'm not saying you're wrong. Because the way we see things is the way that we see things given our perception of the world around us, right?
Yeah.
And when we feel like we're under attack from the people in our own country, when we see people doing things to the cultural touchstones, like you mentioned, that we ourselves hold dear to us, it feels like they're coming. Like they're trying to destroy the culture, like they're trying to destroy the country that we have been a part of and that we love and that we call home. And I think that the election in 2016, the emergence of this woke phenomenon, and the division, the political division in the country that has led to racial division, that has led to further class division, and all of that, I think that is, endemic of our situation. And this comic book thing is perceived through that lens. I don't honestly think Marvel was trying to kill Captain America as a character as he used to be and then try and retcon it all the way back. I think Nick Spencer was writing a dumb story and they had to wrap it up in 6 issues in total because nobody was buying the comic.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Like, this was a big, like, wow, Cap's a Hydra agent, and nobody cared and nobody wanted it, and it actually pissed off the fans more, and they stopped buying it. So maybe Marvel had to learn from that, right? Like, if anything, you sent them the same Bud Light message that got sent to, Anheuser-Busch. Like, we're not going to buy this trash. And they ended their run early. They were supposed to have 12 issues. They only got 6. So they took them off the book, right? They ended that whole long Red Skull event, and they had Captain America come back himself and save the day to put it right. Which is funny. It's almost like you guys, in your rejecting of that storyline, saying how much you didn't appreciate it, didn't like it, rejected it, and weren't going to take it, caused change.
Right.
So I think that is what motivated you to make this book.
Well, we see what we want to see to justify our position.
And that's true for everybody. That's not like true for just some people. Everybody sees what they see. Right? That's the universal human condition. You literally have to stop yourself and remind yourself that there are other ways to see things other than the way that you see things every day. And it's very hard to do that. Even when we're doing it, the way we interpret the things that we see is how we position ourselves inside the world. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
Exactly.
No problem.
That's universal.
Well,
Mo
the
said some
thing.
good stuff, but it was a little bit dirty, so I didn't put it up.
You should.
But it was funny.
Most
Thank
of
you,
it.
Mo.
But I do want to get back to what Cooper's trying to say. It's like we cut him off like 3 times.
Oh, no
Well,
problem.
it's my job to make sure the chat
She
is
cut you off
taken
again.
care of.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. No, what I wanted to do was there was a fundamental truth to Captain America, and his place in comicdom in general, that I felt needed to be back in culture somewhere, and so.
What was that place?
Well, just the what the country is at its core. He kind of represented that, and so when they basically rejected that, I felt like my guy goes back. He's entirely different from Captain America in that he goes all the way back to the founding fathers. He was there when the founding documents were written. He's pretty much in the room.
Oh,
somewhere.
dude, I didn't know he was that old. That's kind of
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
So
and,
he helped the Americans during the Revolution against the British.
Well, he came across the pond as a Irish slave, and
Did he cross the Rubicon?
well, the Rubicon's actually not the Atlantic Ocean, but yeah,
Yeah.
but he basically
I mean,
became
Metaphorically, the Delaware in this case is the Rubicon.
the
right?
Delaware. Yeah, there you go. But yeah,
It's a
he
metaphorical Rubicon.
there you go. Well, he was the first really powerful hero that was exclusively American, that identified as American, and so.
You mean
because
Captain America, or you mean
my
Iron
guy,
Size?
my guy.
Okay.
Yeah, and because of that, when they wrote the Constitution, they put him in the Bill of Rights as being overpowered people now in the perpetuity, because they believed at that time that he was immortal, and so they're like, okay, we can solve this issue, because they were worried that if powered people became connected to the government would abuse those people, and so the only way to have a government for the powered people was to have like this one entity that's para-government over it, and he held that position for over 200 years. He did his
So
job.
he was a entity that superseded the government because he had the power to just because he had powers.
Yeah, he could determine he was also a policeman, but he's also a protector of powered people's rights, so he could basically tell the government where to go, because he was like another branch of government, and just this one man exclusively. And
So
So
why?
they
What
put
kept
in
him
the
from
Bill
just kind of?
Rights? I'm confused.
Yeah. So he wasn't part of the signing of the Bill of Rights. They wrote that into the Bill of Rights for him, and then created a position for him, kind of like president, but super president, without congressional oversight, where he can just kind of like go like, no government, you can't do that, and I've got eye lasers, and I'm immortal, and there's nothing you can do about that if I don't like
Right.
what you're doing.
yeah, exactly. Well, pretty much.
Okay.
In other words, they hated his guts pretty much. Wanted him gone because if you
I think I missed something. I'm confused. They hated him, so they
Created
put
a
him
position
in
in
the
government.
Bill of Rights, and that guaranteed that he didn't have to
the-
listen to the government. I think I missed
the
something.
founding
Start
fathers
again.
loved him. The founding
Start
fathers loved him, but as the government went and didn't have access to powered people to use as they will, like the rest of the world is like abusing the crap out of powered people, but they actually had rights in America, where other governments was just basically press gang them into service. America didn't have that right because they had to go through Ironsides to do it, and so as it proceeded, the government kind of entities within the government became hostile towards him, and they basically wanted him out of the way.
So he was effectively Dr. Manhattan with more political freedoms because he wasn't beholden to laws. or the government. He was above them. An American government resented him because of his position, but also couldn't get their own supers in service to the government because he wouldn't let them. He was like, checks and balances, but only checks, no balances.
Well, I mean, if he felt the cause was just, like World War II is definitely a just cause, then he allowed the powered people to participate into that. But things like the Vietnam War, he didn't participate in the Vietnam War. I mean,
So if it was something he agreed with, he let them do it, and if it was something he didn't agree with, then he didn't.
Well, they had the right to say yes or no. The powered people had the right to say yes or no, but he didn't endorse things like that, and so he just basically he was, he had that autonomy, and then about 50 years ago, with the story, he was ambushed and retired. They basically found a way to sideline him, and so.
Sorry, Movic says he writes checks their balances can't cash.
There you go.
It's fair. Just bankrupt the country.
There you go. But yeah, so after they got basically managed to find a way to retire him, suddenly there's this 29th Amendment that showed up to take away his mandate, 28th Amendment, and created a federal organization called the FERA, and basically, took the rights away. And, they became like wards of the state.
Who, for all the powered people?
Yeah, I mean, so they basically put an alphabet agency over the powered people and retired him. And so
How is that not a violation of civil rights?
Well, because
Like you don't have like a 3-letter agency governing anyone with a particular genetic makeup or political affiliation, really, or religious affiliation. Like any of the denominational characteristics aren't specifically policed publicly by a 3-letter agency. I mean, it might entirely be possible that during the Nixon years he had the CIA spying on the gays, but you don't know.
well, I mean,
That wasn't like their public purpose.
but there was a time in America where there were no alphabet agencies, and then Woodrow Wilson came along, and suddenly there's an IRS and there's an FBI, and so essentially, basically, they terrified the American populace enough that when Ironsides went down, they thought, "Oh crap! The powered people are just going to run amok, and there's nobody to ride herd on them anymore." And so they all signed up. All the states ratified a 28th Amendment. Out of their own fear, and created this alphabet agency over the powered people, and essentially, you can only, there's like 3 options that you have as a powered person from that moment on. You could work for the government, you could live unpowered, but monitored, or you could be in prison. So, and
Sounds a lot. It sounds like similar to company men, except there's that option to live unpowered. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, it just means that you could basically live as an ordinary citizen, but you weren't allowed to use your powers unless.
But what are they going to do about it if you did? Like, remember the whole point of Ironsides, like having the position that he did, it was because they couldn't do shit about it.
Well, it's because
he's powered.
At about the same time he was ambushed, they came out with their own powered person who was under their control.
Okay, so did they have special technology? Did they have a guy under their control that could neutralize powers? Was there something to, make sure that powered people didn't use those powers? Because it seems like the best way to satisfy this is, oh yeah, I'll totally live as a normal citizen, cross my heart, hope to die, won't use my powers, I'll stab you in the eye.
Right.
I'm still free and monitored, of course, which again violates my civil rights. Like this thing I don't understand. It's like I'm an American, but I can set shit on fire with my eyes. If I set shit on fire with my eyes, I'm still going to jail because it's the same as if I set shit on fire with a gas can. Like I don't understand the significance between the distinction of powered and not powered if we're all Americans.
Well, same way that they did everything in communist countries. Everybody watched everybody. And people reported on each other. There's like hotlines and things like that, and so it basically over the course of a while there, they had their own powered person that was over everything, and he's kind of like their Superman. If you mixed him with T2, he's still Global Man, and he was actually the result of the Manhattan Project in this world, and so he basically, so they had that guy if somebody really powered showed up that they needed to take care of. And basically, the rest of them were, you either work for us or, you live unpowered. And so.
So I have a question though. So if powered people are so powerful that they had to like put
it's like mutants. And there are a lot of different powers on any scale.
Why would all of the powered people just agree to go along with it? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's like you've got superpowers.
Well,
why would you agree to
right?
be
Why would you like?
suppressed?
Oh, okay. I either have to.
Well, there's a lot
do this
less. There's a lot less powered people in my world. It's that so they're a really small minority of the country, and when you're a minority in the country, they can arbitrarily take your rights away. It's
the big difference between civil rights, like the civil rights campaign when there were people who didn't have rights because they were a minority and weren't allowed to have rights. They were just people. They didn't have laser eyes. They could be knocked down with water hoses and chomped on by dogs, and that would stop them from trying to exercise any physical, any political or physical power. Right. Even though powered people are even smaller minority than your average or traditional minority, it seems like they could affect a lot more because regular minorities are limited to guns and bricks. These people quite possibly have the power to level whole city blocks.
But then they got Global Man coming after them.
Then they got Global Man in like the 1950s. So we had 200 years of powered people kind of living within the government. And then the 28th Amendment comes in when they got Global Man and they took out Ironsides.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And they basically just retired him, basically talked into becoming part of the intelligence apparatus, and that they could still be part of the protection of the country. When they gave him a commission as a colonel. And so...
So they brought him into the U.S. military. He was no longer outside the government. He became a part of it.
Right. And so the course of 50 years, they kind of wrote him out of the history books, kind of downgraded him to the point where now ordinary or, child on the street probably doesn't even know who he is now. But 50 years on, he discovers that basically he was phased out a long time ago. They're not even looking at his stuff, and so he quits his job in a very memorable way. And on the way home, he intervenes for the first time in 50 years. One arm, one eye, and he decides he's going to intervene. Get his hero on for the first time in 50 years, and his arm moves. This crystallized arm actually moves. And he realizes that they lied about that too, and that if he had actually attempted to use his powers, he would have discovered that a long time ago that he could still use his arm, and
so how did his arm get crystallized? Was that Global Man?
Well, no, there's the ambush happened at Area 51, and there's alien technology there that it was experimental. They didn't really know how it worked. All they knew was that it would crystallize anything it was turned on, and so they used it on him, hoping that he wouldn't regenerate if he was crystallized. And so, but the person that they used to ambush him fought off the programming and destroyed the machine, and so it didn't complete the process. But anyway,
Mo's got some good puns.
Yeah, Dan
Yeah,
sounds like Ironside's hit rock bottom. He's got
yeah.
the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
So I got a question. Who is this book for? As in, like, just the age range. Is this a PG-friendly book, PG-13,
It's a PG-13 to up. It's got the complexity enough for an adult to enjoy it, but it's got enough, action and exciting looking things for a younger person to enjoy.
There's not, like, cursing, and there's not blood and violence and stuff,
There
and
is
lots
violence.
of sex.
There is violence, but it's not gratuitous.
Okay.
So it's not going to be like completely neutered. I mean, there's definitely significant violence in it, but it's not like egregious or violence for the sake of violence. And
Brian's got a very important question. What's the booby meter in the book? How much boobies we get?
let me see.
And he also wants to know if Ironsides has any stock in Ripple.
He does not have any stock in Ripple. This is one of his characters, one of the community service
All right,
members.
so there's a little bit of boobies there.
There is boobies there.
Like, what's the nipple count?
Well, everybody has nipples, so I mean it's a pretty high count. If you want female nipples, there is definitely...
I mean, there are 4 male nipples on the campaign that I've been able to count.
Always the pressing question: the boob to page ratio.
Yeah. It's important, man. It's how you succeed on some crowdfunding
it's not on
platforms,
Kickstarter,
right?
so.
Yeah.
Well, I decided to...
Probably a lower boob to page ratio.
I do have some significant female presence. I haven't chosen to put it on the campaign yet. But
You like presents.
it is there. It is there.
All right, so we've been talking about the book. Why don't you just kind of give us the narrowed pitch in this issue? The preamble, right? Who are the protagonists, the antagonists? What's the central conflict, and what are the stakes? Just give us the tight pitch.
Yeah, it's basically setting up the world. It's getting you settled into the world, and the situation is that there is a group behind the government that's actually behind everything. Behind the FBI.
Oh, you mean like the Illuminati?
Yeah, something like that. They're actually in my campaign in plain sight. You see them. They're everywhere. If I told you, you would see it. But they basically, the bottom line is they're moving their plans forward, and but there's a hitch in their plan. Somebody actually managed to get through Congress another program called Community Service, which offers a 4th option for powered people. They can now work their way back into society, work off their debt to society. So it's no longer just incarceration. Now there's a way to cut way back, and so to move forward, they basically there's a 29th Amendment's being proposed, and they want to just completely totally eliminate that threat. And so their idea is to destroy the community service program in such a dramatic way that it's going to scare people off from voting for the 29th Amendment. If it worked before, it'll work now. But into this is this retired man who finds out about this situation, and he decides he's going to intervene. And so, at 50 years, rusty, been behind a desk job for all these years, and he's not even certain what his powers are anymore because of the crystal arm, which seems to be some kind of energy absorbing crystal. So he's not even sure what the extent of his powers are anymore. But because he is a hero, because he believes that the country has gone off the rails and that he wants to be that inspiration to break the narrative and get people thinking like Americans again. So he opts to intervene. But they've got him in a kill box, essentially. This is the situation he's going into is pretty much a kill box, and they call it Little Bighorn for a reason. It's kind of a joke. Nobody's coming out of there, and so he's aware of this, and he's going in there anyway. But the people that he's going to try to save are criminals. You know, they're yeah. There you go. But
why does the American people, do they want that to happen? Or is it just like he's trying to help superpowered people, like the minoriest minority in the U.S.? Like, what's the popular perception? Are people scared of supers?
Well,
they want them to...
Well, they're starting to kind of thaw towards superpowered people, and they're starting. Generations have passed now, and the people who voted the 28th Amendment now are are dying out, and the youngest generations are always going to rebel against the previous generations, and so they're like, well, why are powered people allowed to be oppressed? And plus, FERA, they're called the purple people leaders because they've when somebody gets carted off by the FERA, they don't come back, and so the course of the lore, the course of people living with this for all these years, for 50 years, people are starting to say, why won't we have people have powered, why are we doing this to powered people? And there's a movement called the 28 Down that is like protesting against the 28th Amendment, and so they want to like, okay, what we need to do is we need to show them people that powered people are still a threat. They're not fluffy bunnies. They're actually can be terrifying. And so that's what this is an attempt to do. They're going to kill two birds with one stone. They're going to kill the community service in its infancy, and they're also going to, scare American public so they don't vote for the 29th Amendment.
So is the series about Ironsides called Community Service?
Yeah, community service is basically Ironsides is like a big part of it, but community service is about this team of misfits, and their attempt, not only to stay, if they survive this first arc, no spoilers, but if they survive it, then they would have broken the narrative, and the press who already have their talking points ready, and handed to them and ready to go as soon as this massacre takes place. Then if these people are escaped, and these people are not there to be massacred, then people are going to say, well, wait a second now, why are they telling us this when these people are, what we're seeing is this? And that's what it takes to break a narrative, and so, people are going to start looking up Ironsides, and they're going to start saying, who is this guy? Because, so they're going to start. The reason they race the Ironsides from history is because of what he represents, and so people remembering Ironsides are trying to look up Ironsides, or trying to, say, who is this guy, and what is, why is he important? Why is he significant? Why is this guy, here? And so it's basically an attempt to, there's this moment in time is like a turning point in history. It's either going to keep going in the direction it's going, or it's the last chance it gets to turn. And so, I'm inserting.
So it's a flashpoint.
It's a flashpoint, definitely a flashpoint, and it's basically about the soul of the country,
So it would be Ironsides and the superpowered people, that are under his protection, right? Face a secret shadow government initiative designed to eliminate them forever. The central conflict is between, I guess, Global Man and whatever the forces of darkness are throwing at our guy, going into the kill box they've designed for him, and the fate of the country hangs in the balance.
Pretty much, yeah. So
okay. Brian wants to know, is Ironsides really Donald Trump? I don't think Donald Trump is 200 and something years old, but
No.
I may be wrong.
No, this
And-
is this is not like an allegory. This is just a story told with these characters, and if there's
Right, it's too literal to be an allegory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like it's pretty much like you can find parallels like Lord of the Rings. There's always parallels with Lord of the Rings, Sauron, Hitler, and things like that. But Tolkien hated allegory, but he wrote a story.
People say he said he hated allegory.
Yeah.
He wrote allegory though. Like
Right.
you can't avoid the fact that once again the world that he was in was influencing what he was writing. If he's writing about hobbits in a shire and a quest to destroy a ring, right? By bringing it back to the place where it was created under the watchful eye of an all-powerful, omnipotent being, right? Kind of a return to sender sort of thing. You're going to take a look at the world that you're in and go, wow, I wonder what events of the time are influencing this story,
Right. Well, the thing about the story is that it's not really, it's not really, there's not like a political divide there, but there's like a pro-powered people and people who are just fine with what the government's doing, and that's pretty much where the political divide lies. But it's the Republican Democrat thing is really kind of a misnomer. That's not really where the conflict lies. But if there's some parallels
in our world or in the world of community service.
the world of community service, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's more about superpowered people and the government that's trying to oppress them.
Well, it's more like freedom and the government that's trying to, suppress freedom. So, if anything, that's where the divide is. If part of your people don't have freedom, then nobody really truly has freedom. That's pretty much the story, because they can convince themselves that, oh, I'm not powered, or I don't have a friend that's powered, or there's no powered people in my family, so this doesn't affect me. But it affects everybody. If one person doesn't have freedom, then nobody has freedom, not truly. And so that's pretty much what the heart of the book is about.
Well, Big says Ironsides has infiltrated the Peace and Freedom Party to make them less about peace and more about freedom.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Pretty
is this
much
your
that.
first book?
Yeah, I actually have another book that's going to go to press shortly, but I have an anthology in that one. I'm part of that anthology. Out of
That's
Obscurity.
yeah. Right, I heard about that.
Yep.
If this is your first book, when did you start writing, and what's your process like?
Well, I started writing. I've been writing pretty much my whole entire life, but I never really identified as a writer. But then, I started getting into. I've written my own stories for a long time, but I got into fan fiction pretty heavily about around 2008, 2009, something like that. And I was really well thought of. Had my own fan site, so devoted to one of my properties. So I was pretty successful with that. But then, it got to where if you didn't have certain themes in your work, you weren't pushed. You didn't get the feedback as you wanted. So you're supposed to have a process.
What do you mean?
Well, it started. The politics started coming in even back then. Every relationship between men had to be a almost sexual one, and things like that. And
When?
this was around 2010. Fan fiction was pretty much a patient zero. Where a lot
In
of the stuff
fan
came
fiction. So in the fan fiction community, everybody was writing stories that were queer.
Well, it started happening that way.
Could that be because
right?
writing fan fiction is queer?
Well, it could be. It could be. I found it very fulfilling, and you have instant feedback. You're writing in somebody else's world, so you have to write things in character, and it was really
What
a,
do you choose, Ethan?
a great
I don't know
way
if that
to.
was meant for us, but we will
What's
take it.
No, she was talking to Jason. She
I
was
was,
saying
Oh,
that
I was
okay.
she
trying to
loves
talk
Jason.
quietly so that
Right.
only the
No
microphone picks me up.
My only
Okay.
my only experiences with fan fiction have been
Yeah.
weird, furry obsessed
Yeah.
people who write about characters that they didn't create but are themselves fascinated with, and who would like to live out their own fantasies through those characters. So
Well,
I mean,
that's not what it was when I started. When I started, it was about you know continuing worlds of these IPs. World. Like my biggest fiction was I continued the Harry Potter universe. Basically, I wrote a sequel to Harry Potter, and very well thought of.
in
I still got
2010,
around 2009, 2010. Yeah, the
what J.K.
series.
think?
Yeah. Well, it just ended, and so that last chapter that she wrote had so many threads that I could see where it was going next, and so I went ahead and wrote that. Um, but
But Harry and Ron didn't make out.
no, they did not.
Oh.
No, I wrote about the
sound
next generation.
disappointed.
So anyway,
Well, I mean, Tumblr came out in 2007, so he does have a point.
yeah,
You know, like, it does seem like the fan fiction community kind of, like, had a lot of people
I don't know.
writing
I've
stuff on their
honestly
Tumblr.
Never been.
Well, I mean,
in
there,
the fan.
the,
We know people whose kids
Yeah.
were raised
Yes.
on Tumblr.
Yes,
And
we
we know what happens when all you do is sit on Tumblr for hours at a time every day. It's the same
Right.
thing as like what happens when you sit on Twitter. You rot
Yeah.
your brain.
Well, the thing that was interesting was, at that time, I was part of like Sherlock Holmes was one of the communities I was writing in, and what we're not going to get any more Sherlock Holmes stories, so this is a place where you can get more Sherlock Holmes stories, and so, but then it just deteriorated into the point where,
Much like our chat.
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, but that's where I really started getting where I felt like I was publishable, and so I started looking into publishing around that time, and for the next 5 years, I attempted to get something published. It was a Sherlock Holmes story, but it was starring John Watson in Scotland Yard, and a lot of people liked it, and it's very well thought of. But it was just a closed loop at that time, and so I gave up on it. I still wrote, but everything wound up on the laptop, and so I basically I didn't I didn't publish anything. I kind of got out of fan fiction and everything. But then the whole Hell Hydra thing happened, and I felt like disenfranchised by
And you
the
were like,
whole
let's make
thing.
a comic
And,
book.
Yeah.
Where did you learn to write
It
comics?
made me feel like it. Well, on the job, if you go from novel and prose to writing a comic, it's almost like trying to run a gasoline engine on kerosene. It was a little bit of a stretch, and I basically read a lot of how-to books. One by Michael Bendis. But,
Shame.
several of them I never-
Shame.
I know.
Shame.
Scott
I
McCloud.
know.
Scott
I
McCloud.
know.
Shame.
Yeah.
You
The Bible
read
is Scott McCloud.
Writing for Comics by Brian Michael Bendis.
Yes,
You need to read
yes,
Fundamentals, my friend. Who
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. I'm canceling my IP Sherlock Holmes to avoid market confusion with James's book.
Okay. I mean, that's Sherlock Homeboy, right? James is Sherlock Homeboy. I could see the race swap being
Yes.
being very entertaining. I could like see
Right.
updating it for a modern
Sherlock
audience,
Holmes.
having it happen in the hood. That'd
Yeah.
be an interesting book right there. So when you write, because I want to know more about your process, do you write by panel? Do you write Marvel method? How do you like to write? How do you compose these pages?
Is this all one page here?
And is that all one page?
Yeah, there's 3 pages. There.
So this is not the dock jack. That's the last panel on that first page, or the speak your mind.
I think he kind of
last one?
chopped up 3 pages and collaged.
Gotcha.
If I'm
No,
interpreting
this is
it
the first,
correctly.
This is 3 of the first pages of the book.
So
Okay,
this is one
One
page.
page here.
Yeah,
These
that's one page.
these
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 panels here is one page.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you write, do you write Marvel method or do you break down the panels?
I pretty much write manuscript and then convert it from there.
Yeah,
So
but when
are-
you
are-
convert it, are you the one breaking the pages and panels, or is that your artist?
I break them down to the pages and panels myself.
Got it.
But I pretty much give the artist free reign to, if they feel like something flows better another way, I'm very open to that. I'm still learning as I go.
It's your first book, man. Like no one's
Yeah.
gonna crucify you over
Right.
your first book. I know that. Like, when we made our first book, there's like plenty of stuff that we had to learn, even though we did a lot of learning, leaning into it. We had to do a lot of learning after it, and we did the lot of learning. But I'm wondering, how did you assemble your team? And who's on the book with you?
Okay, Barbusco Comics is on the artist and the colorist, and I also have I have Aerith, not Aerith, but sorry, Arksider did the character design for me, and basically I've got different cover artists. One's by Greg Bo Watson, very talented pinup artist from South Carolina that I met at a con. And the other one's by Luke Stone, and I've got a third one being in the process right now as we speak. It's going to be a Norman Rockwell homage cover, like based on the Saturday Evening Post.
And do
so
you have an editor on this book?
I have an editor, Norm Leinert, but Norm
Got Norm. Okay.
kinda
Yep, you got
disappeared,
Norm.
So,
Well, what was Norm doing for you?
well, he was just, I was just bouncing things off of him, and he believed in the project as much as I did, and
So he was like a developmental editor? Or
yeah.
like
Did he copy edit? Did he proofread? Did he,
Well, he started
do
that-
art
he-
direction?
Yeah, he started out copy editing and proofreading for me, and also giving me story edits, and then he just stayed on, and that's just kind of like, I bounced things off of him, and he'd give me his advice, and
Gotcha.
he was gonna take a look at it later, do the like final edits and copywriting and copy editing and stuff. But,
Copy editing, yeah, to prepare you for press. And he disappeared, like gone.
Yeah,
Did he come back?
No, he hasn't come back. So
Still? Shit.
no,
I know he kind of vanished a couple weeks back, right?
Yeah, about 4 weeks ago. He
Holy crap.
his account disappeared off of Twitter. You know how much he loves Twitter. So
Well, did you guys communicate any other way besides Twitter?
email, phone call, and he had a backup Twitter account, and I've contacted all those, left messages. I've been
No way to get no response.
no response.
Bro, that's rough. You must be worried, Like I would be worried in your shoes. I would be concerned.
Yeah,
Maddie
I
probably
am.
wants to know who vanished.
Norm
Norm
Leinart.
Leinart,
He's got
He's
a
always-
green avatar on Twitter.
I just put
Yes,
Norm, and they're
green
like,
fan.
Peterson? McDonald?
Yeah, right. Peterson,
No.
McDonald, right.
Leinert.
The guy from
Brian-
Cheers.
Leinert, so.
Liner. Brian does have a serious question. He said he's confused on the aging of him. I'm assuming he means Ironsides.
Well, he just ages slower than most people, but he aged enough to develop that like really silver fox, older bear kind of
Sean
appearance,
Connery,
right?
kinda.
Yeah.
Sean Connery, yeah, like silver fox.
So like right here, he kind of
Yep.
I can see like
There you go.
Definitely, I have to say, like from the art, he's a very attractive man, and from the pinups at the bottom.
Yeah.
Where you've got him
Yeah,
in
there's
his
a lot
in
of,
his swim trunks, right? The
beach
old
wear
one,
going on
and then
Right.
and then
with
the
the dudes.
modern one, right? Like, I gotta say, there certainly seems to be I don't know if obsession is the right word, but a fascination with the appearance and history of Ironsides.
I guess those are your nipples that you were asking
That's
about
why I said
before.
there were 4 on the
There you go.
campaign that I saw, 4 male nipples.
Well, it was just that I wanted to zig what everybody else zagged, and everybody else has like females as their main characters, and do a whole bunch of pinups, and I'm kind of like the anti Dave Brink, and so I decided to because there's like 2 different schools. There was Beefcake and there's Cheesecake, and Beefcake was like for the most of comics. History.
You sure you didn't pick up any lingering fan fiction community vibes and take those with you?
Well,
when you
we're trying to get
to make
masculinity
comics?
back into this culture. What's a better way to do it? So,
Then booty shorts and swimsuit pinups. I mean,
Well,
he's
it's
got
just,
There is a lot of man love that started with the Greeks. It's classical, right? We start from there. We build into male camaraderie, and not
it's
all male relationships have to be homosexual, but they can be if you want them to be. It's okay. People could be gay sometimes.
So Brian says, but he has black hair in the hospital, and then he has gray. So I'm assuming, is there like a time jump here?
Yeah,
between
there's a
these
period
ones?
of
'Cause these aren't
50
consecutive pages.
Right.
Is that
Well,
when his
there's a
powers,
period
when he
of,
thinks his powers are shut down because he got blasted with the crystal laser?
Well, the crystallizing ray basically. One of the reasons why they retired him was because they believed it was going to interfere with his regeneration. The powered people have something called a maintenance protocol. That the very thing that makes them powered maintains them their physicality for longer than human. So a lot of the one of the reasons why people resent them so much is powered people tend to be on the edge of like human perfection, and they tend to stay there,
Just naturally without working out or anything. They're just like
right. It's because
superior.
They stay
Exactly.
young
So,
forever
One
without
might say
having to-
the superior people, right?
Right, right.
You know.
well, but he started actually. He was aging very slowly, but then suddenly he started aging. He still wasn't aging human speed, but he was suddenly noticing that he was definitely aging, and so the course of that 50 years, he went from he lost his hair. He kind of makes a joke at one point. He's like, "Well, I figured out that I was going to bald. I was actually going to go bald, pretty early on." But
I have a question about this image here. Is this a page in the book, or is this a pinup?
that is Arksider's
Gotta be a pinup.
design of the big bad. He's called
Okay,
the
so it's like a
Obsidian
character
Man.
design. Okay.
Yeah, it's either a pinup or concept art.
Right.
Right.
And so this is gonna be the big bad of the first 3 books. He's called Obsidian Man. He's
So it's Crystal Man versus Obsidian Man.
What about Particle Man?
Triangle
Well,
Man.
he's actually a geomancer.
They will fight.
and
Triangle wins.
Stop.
Sorry.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Well, he's
good.
basically a geomancer. So he's like if you took Sandman and instead of sand, he manipulates rock. So he's able to manipulate rock and actually pull rock into himself and grow his size and things like that. And so he's a pretty scary individual.
Okay. So not silicate, but like igneous rock, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, Obsidian Man is the Obsidian is kind of like he uses that a lot. That's kind of like his default mineral state is Obsidian. But he can actually, change the mineral content, of things around him.
No, so he can manipulate minerals. So like he could manipulate like 90% of the Earth's crust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dope.
So he can.
Fuck
also
sand.
He can also make himself diamond hard. So he's pretty scary.
So,
individual, so
that's a pretty rocky villain he's taking on, huh? Okay.
There you go.
Definitely
Yeah.
said book looks really cool, and it's obvious T Bunny has put a lot of thought into building his world.
He put a lot of work into it, absolutely. Maddie wants to know if he can give himself a stranger with the crystal.
He also wants to know what happens if you
When
smoke the crystals.
Well, considering
I don't think he can. Has he tried to smoke the crystal?
Well, the crystal is the hardest substance known to that world. So no,
More than diamond.
More than diamond. Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's actually a pinup that's going to be.
So why didn't they just like take that alien ray and zap all the stuff with it? You know what I mean? Like, oh, we've got a tank, alien ray. Oh, we have a plane, alien ray. Like, if it's the hardest thing.
Well, because the ray would just basically convert it, but it wouldn't. The functionality is not going to be there anymore. And because it's the crystal that it changed things into was so hard, there's no way to cut it or change it and shape it in any way, shape, or form. So
does his arm feel like his arm? Does he have feeling in it? Does he have nerves?
No,
it's flexible, right? I assume that it's flexible.
Still has bones.
Right? Still's got bones. Or nerves.
Well, it seems to have some kind of psychic connection with him, so it moves when he's powered up. But he can't, and it seems to have some kind of flexibility to it somehow. But it's like he can use it, but he can't feel anything with it. It's still kind of detached that way.
So yeah, the answer, Maddie, is he can give himself a stranger. It absorbs energy though, so like he's invulnerable himself, and
I don't think you'd want to jack yourself off with something like that. I don't think that would be comfortable.
How do you know? How do you know? People jack themselves off all sorts of weird shit.
Turn.
No.
He could.
I'm looking
he
at
might
the
not.
chat,
He
and I'm
might
like,
not
oh, this isn't helping. There's nothing to bring it up to
nothing
bring this back on course and right this ship.
No problem.
it's degenerated, but he could solve ED around the world.
Look at Chibi.
Yeah, it's a 6 a.m. Chibi too. All right, so we've been looking at the campaign.
Yeah. Well, if you want to play the trailer, the trailer's pretty cool.
Yeah, we could play the trailer. Why did you use Winston Churchill?
Well, because Orson Welles is better than Winston Churchill, so. And Orson Welles never did that speech. I mean, Winston Churchill never did that speech. So.
I thought that was Winston Churchill. Is that Orson Welles?
That's Orson Welles doing.
Okay. Now that makes much more sense now. I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
Weird.
last time I played a trailer, it went weird and didn't fill the screen. So I don't know what's going to happen this time. We'll find out.
Problem.
Here we go.
All
Play in
right.
the trailer.
Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it the gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet? Has to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what caused others. But as for me, give me liberty, or give me death.
That's nice. Who did the trailer?
The animation was done by Rare Glory, and I did the rest. So.
Gotcha. What was the rest? That was like the voiceover, the music.
Yeah, the voiceover, the music, the selection of the art pieces, and everything like that.
Okay, cool. So he just did the After Effects, the scroll and the flip.
No, he did the
The cutting.
the animation of the man, animation of Ironsides with the flag. So
Okay.
yeah, so I did the rest, kind of chopped it up and everything.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Mo,
But the question,
Brian
the
wants to know
reason
why not. Why
reason
call
why
him? That is a good point though. Why Ironsides? Is it because of the
Okay.
thing that's on his head?
No, actually, the name Ironsides comes. He started out. They called him the Cast Iron Continental. They called him Kieran Quinn, the Cast Iron Continental. That was the whole name. But the War of 1812, he went on a ship with the privateer. Later became his friend in the one of the Freedom 5 members, Killhauler, and he was standing up on the bulwark, and they were under fire from a British frigate, and he yelled up there. He says, "Get down! Who do you think you are, Ironsides?" Which was the nickname of the USS Constitution. So it kind of stuck. He just started calling him Ironsides, and it kind of stuck from that part on. So that's where he got the name.
Okay. All right. So it was like a nickname that his friend gave him, and it just kind of stuck from there.
Yeah.
Not at all because it sounds cool.
Not at all because it sounds cool, but it does sound cool. So
Yeah. Mavericks is totally an acronym. It's not a backronym. I didn't just make it
right
because it sounds cool. And
No,
then
you totally did. I mean, no, you
right?
did not.
So we don't pick these names because we think that they
Not at
sound
all.
cool and then create stories as to why they're called what they are. It's not what we do.
No.
All right, so where are you at right now in your Fund My Comic campaign? This was a 90-day campaign, right?
Yeah. I'm.
So you're about
yeah.
2/3 of the way through.
Yeah. So I'm a little behind my projections. So I've.
Why the $5,000 goal?
Well, for 5,000, just to get everything fulfilled and to get everything out the door. That was the number that I came up with. In hindsight, maybe
Based off of your print and shipping estimates, or was
Yeah.
it that's what you thought it would cost?
that's what I thought it would cost. So I'm I regretted that soon afterwards. I guess I thought that because of the thematics that this would appeal to people more than it seems to have so far. But I still have belief that this is a timely book.
Have you run any ads? Do you have a marketing budget? Have you gone outside of the small indie comic book community that we have and tried to get eyes on it elsewhere?
Yeah. I've gone to other, I've gone to other social media sites and things like that. But yeah, I'm pretty much open to other ideas right now. But I've been working 6-day weeks for
Yeah.
like since July the 4th, and that's really cut down on my time that I've had to go on shows and things like that.
Right.
Like I was hoping to.
I mean, like outside of social media and YouTube. I mean, like when you're
No.
making comics and stuff, you got to like build an audience, and that audience isn't really
Yeah.
always on the internet, right? I know you got 6-day weeks.
Right.
That's a huge pain in the ass. You can't like just not work, right? You got to do your job. Then you only got 1 day a week, and it's really like a coincidence. Sometimes if there's an event or another way to go and market the book in your area.
Right.
So
Well, the problem
like,
I've
the
got
limitation.
right now is both of the comic book shops in my area are hostile towards crowdfunding. They see it as something that's taking food off their table, and so anytime that I talk to them,
That's a curious opinion.
Oh, we're roboting apparently.
Oh, it's maybe because I'm far away from the mic. That's a curious opinion. Like why they think that it's taking
well,
food from their mouths.
well,
Why don't you just
because it's
buy a retailer bundle and sell it in your store? You know, like
well,
that's
that's
giving you
the
money.
thing. It's the old model, the old Diamond distribution model. So, and Diamond has taught people that crowdfunding is like basically anti-comic book shop. And
It's funny because there's a
so
lot of crowdfunding comics that are now in
Ollie
Diamond.
said, no, that's not it.
That's funny because Diamond is now running a lot of comics that were crowdfunding comic campaigns. Like Antarctic's entire lineup of titles used to be comic book in comic book crowdfunding campaigns. So it's weird that like a store would have the mentality of we don't want crowdfunded comics in our stores. Like, do you even know whether or not they're crowdfunded if they're in Diamond? Do you carry Lady Death?
I think we're still, this is, WTF is Neff saying, or check
Yeah.
that we're the right,
I'll double check.
it may have switched back to your headphones.
I don't know why it would. I don't know why it would. Maybe it's because I minimized the screen.
Yeah, that's
It's just, I guess they're wrong. Like, just go tell them they're wrong. Be like, yo, stop being dumb. No, it's this mic.
well, I don't really have a
This is the
product
mic.
in hand.
Are we still like, are we still all messed up and roboting?
No, that you cleared up. You cleared up.
I mean, you could hear it. Death Metal Hero certainly can.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
There you go. All right, we're good. Okay.
You're good.
Yeah, I just think
You're
that's a weird
Now
mentality.
discuss the topic again, Ollie.
We were saying that T-Bunny said that his 2 local stores are hostile to crowdfunded comic books because they see it as taking money out of their store. And my counterpoint was that's stupid because a lot of comic books that were crowdfunding campaigns are now in Diamond and going to their stores and are orderable through Diamond. In fact, most comic books have a retailer tier that are orderable to the stores. So I just don't understand why they would think that it's taking money out of their pocket when they can indulge in it and get the comic books for less and make the profit themselves.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
at
this is
the
most shops
time-
I know have ads for crowdfunded books up on boards and will take orders.
Our comic book shop closed. So
Well, it's closing,
yeah,
but yeah.
we have to go and get our
Yeah,
last
we have
pull.
to go and get all of our
Figure out
our
how we're
books.
going to get, the books that are on your pull list.
I
Are
know.
you reading anything right now?
Yeah. I just got Tiger Blue 1 and 2 the other day, and I got the Terror in the Trenches. So that's the closest ones that I've gotten. And
Gotcha. Nothing
But,
at all
yeah.
from alternative publishers or other indie publishers or anything from the industry.
to be honest, right now I can't afford hardly anything. Just trying to, I've got.
Do you read digital?
Well, I did get New Orleans the other day, and he sent me a digital. I thought it was gonna be of New Orleans Listen, but it turned out, it turned out to be the first book, and so I've already read it. So it didn't really.
But
me
do you
any
like reading digital?
I could.
I
take
don't
it or
particularly
leave
like
you
it,
know.
but it's an option when I don't have the ability to like pick up a physical book. Now, I know some people are like, meh, but Global Comics does have a pretty sweet membership program, which you can get into pretty easily. And as a creator, you can create a creator's profile there where you do like a preview of your book, and then when it's done, you put it into digital distribution there, and people can buy it and download it, or it goes behind the paywall, and whenever people read it, you get money. It's a pretty decent way to go about getting your comic book out there digitally, because it's kind of like the crowd. The reason we use crowdfunding platforms is because there's a presence on those platforms, right? Everybody's using those platforms, so we're looking at comic books that are launching on those platforms, so it's all about discoverability. Right. That's what sites like Global Comics are offering, because they cater to really small, independent creators and publishers, and they put those alongside publishers like Heavy Metal, like Boom, like they just bought up the entire Valiant library a little while ago. They've got a whole bunch of new digital distribution rights that are exclusive to that platform. So when someone's done reading Captain America, they get it's not Captain America's, they don't carry Marvel and they never will. They've already said that. But when someone reads Iron Sentinel, right, they get an ad for your book at the end. Oh, read Community Service, got a character like the one you just read, or, thematically, because you can pick your categories and your hashtags and your, all the subheaders and everything. And that's how they create discoverability and link it all together. I would suggest, if you are concerned about reaching broader audiences and you still want to stay inside the comic book realm and appeal to comic book readers, go there and put up your book in the previews. Put it up so that people can access it for free, like the first 10 pages or whatever, so they can see the book, read some of the book, enjoy it, and go, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go back this crowdfunding campaign, because there's even a link on your site, on your page on that website, where they can click go to campaign, and it's a pass-through portal to whatever site you're crowdfunding on. I would suggest try that, and because you have a creator profile, that probably gets you a discounted membership to read the 27 or 270,000 titles that they have there.
It's a
so
lot.
you could
Neff
read.
makes up the number a lot because he doesn't.
I don't know. I think it's either 27 or 270,000. There's a
big difference between those numbers.
Well,
there's a lot of them.
One is 27 and the other one is 10 times 27.
Which is
right?
a large difference. Exactly what I said.
I don't think 27 or 270 are actually all that different when it comes to reading comic books, because
You'll never read all of them.
Exactly.
Mobig says Ironsides could advertise on Iron Sites.
That's true. You could go and reach out to some of the other retailers out there that do stuff like what you're doing, that make some cross promotions there. Eric says Zoop is an amazing option as well. So Zoop just the thing about Zoop is that they curate the campaign and you don't ever have to worry about promoting it. You don't even have to worry about creating the page. You just go there and be like, hey, look, this is the book, go do it. And they either do it or they don't. And they're in charge of all the marketing and advertising. You don't have to do shit. Unfortunately, they don't really have the reach or the ability to target audiences the way that you want them targeted. So it's kind of a crapshoot whether or not Zoop's going to do it for you or not. And generally, I've seen everybody who runs on Zoop get smaller totals there than they do on other platforms.
Right. Well, I do have some art I'm about to add, some original art pieces and some other things that I'm going to put down on the campaign. A third cover that's about to go live, and so, I still I have some life left in it, and I'm no way, shape, or form, conceding at this point. I think
this
Yeah.
At some point, either on your show or on the page or seeing you on a show, I recall you saying this was a lifelong passion for you or a childhood dream to make a comic, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to make this comic and fulfill that childhood dream regardless of whether or not it funds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because making it and printing it are two different things, right?
Right.
You can make it and do the print files and distribute it digitally, or sit on it and wait to release it when the time is right. $5,000 would probably help for the printing, the shipping, the packaging, all that other stuff. It doesn't really strike me with what you've already said you've put into this book. I mean, I don't know how much you've put in. How much have you put in? If you're not comfortable saying a number, then don't. But you've put in considerable effort, probably quite a bit of money as well, right?
Yeah. I'm out
So
of
it's
pocket
kind of
quite a
like
bit, so.
it's kind of like you can't back out now. You have to see it through to the end, and it might not become a printed book until you can afford to print it. And the way that I look at crowdfunding is it's just pre-orders. It's how many people want the cool stuff on my campaign that you're only going to get either there or directly from me, and get the book at a better price point with a bunch of goodies that I can use to gauge the interest in pre-orders. And then I can be like, oh, I need a 1,000 print run or a 2,000 print run to spend, depending upon the response. And then you go and you distribute, to indie stores, or you go to conventions or whatever, you sell your other stock. It really is more of a way to gauge pre-orders. So I think you should finish the book, absolutely, and then maybe consider crowdfunding the print, right?
Right. Well, I kind of held the back side of the book to see if anybody was going to take those 2 tiers, one of those 2 tiers. So, yeah,
Which are the 2 tiers you're talking about?
Yeah, the final is basically created an expressor for the book, and I'm gonna, that's gives you the ability to put a character into the book.
Oh, neat. Like, is it a cameo or what?
Nope, not a cameo. It's an actual character into the book. The understanding being that it's going to be part of this universe. It's going to be part of, but you'll always have the credit to have created the character. So you have a creative
So if that
credit.
character like takes off, you're not gonna like Bob Kane me, right, bro?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the only way it works is if it becomes a part of my world. The residuals on the back end just wouldn't work out. So you have to understand.
Aerith wants to give reach arounds to people, apparently.
No, apparently that's what Soup does.
They can reach around the market for you. They give reach arounds.
That's
right?
why I said they do reach around.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You posted that. That's funny.
Bob the Human Xerox Machine came.
Yeah, right. Where's Odin when you need him? Brian says, need to make sure your comic is owning the libs if you want to crowdfund. Now he does.
Step 1, own the libs.
Step 3, profit. Step 2 is kind of what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's, the quiet
Step
part.
2, crystalline strangers.
He does kind of have a point, though, because a lot of the stuff that does well in crowdfunding does well because of a cult of personality and a following, and you've built an audience, and people build audiences based off of populist issues. And I think that your comic book speaks to a populist issue, but I don't know if you've developed the audience that some of these other larger creators have. Like, there are people out there who are just getting into comic books now, like Andrew Tate. Who fucking thought Andrew Tate would get into comics? Not me. It's just like the last person I thought would get into comics with his $100 comic book, but he's got a cult of personality.
It's not a comic.
What's that?
It's a comic book, it's a travesty, not a comic book.
Well, whatever. The point is, he's making money off of it, and he's got an audience for it because he's got a huge following. So the question is, do you get the following and then make the book, or do you make the book and then get the following? What do you think?
Well, I was trying to do it the other way around, to get the following and then make the book. That seems to be the best way to do it, But I've had some setbacks this year when it comes to my following. So, some right before I launched my comics. So, I've had to fight through that. I've had to fight through this one night of sleep a week. I'm trying to do a sleep study of right now, try to figure out if I got sleep apnea, which I pretty much know I have.
I study sleep too.
Yeah. So
Who majored in it?
Yeah.
But so
Joke's on everyone. Andrew Tate can't read.
yeah, there you go.
That's why he's the top G. That's why he shits on people who do read, because he can't do it himself, right?
Right.
Those who can do, those who can't get other people to make comics for them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so it's just it's all part of the grind, all part of the
Oh, sorry, Maddie. That I don't know. I don't sleep when I'm angry, so that doesn't quite work for me.
So you had the same issues with Inglorious Rex I did then.
Everybody did. The art
Everyone
was
is honest about it, I
art
think.
was very good at times. I think it was a little inconsistent occasionally. The story didn't quite go where I needed it to go. The setting was a little bit confusing. We did a review. Adam Lawson and I did a review on our channel during one of the Rebel Frequency broadcasts that he and I do.
Yeah, I did a review also.
Yeah.
3 carats out of 6 myself. So.
Yeah, I can see that. But I think Shane is trying, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that he's like giving some effort
Starlight
to creating
Cats,
indie characters.
Starlight Cats was actually such a good book.
Cat Book?
I was a little
I got Cat Book. I didn't think I read Cat Book. I just got Cat Book. I was
So
like,
it was
Cat
one of the
Book.
ones you
actually a
started
good
looking
book.
at, and then you did.
It was just like, meh. Right. But yeah, I definitely got Cat Book. I was like, holy shit.
But then you weren't
yeah.
in the mood to read it.
Maybe. And that happens to me a lot. I'm like,
Yeah.
meh. And then I'll come back like 3 years later and be like, actually, this is a really good book. But I read Inglorious Rex because I love mecha. I love biomecha. I liked Real Steel. I liked boxing. I thought it was a very cool concept, and he definitely has something there. Yeah. And I wish maybe he had a little bit more honest developmental editor, but certainly line editor who could have taken a look at the script and been like, bro, you need to do some things here. Because honestly, like, it could have been very good. It very well could
And
have
you
been. He
wanted
came up
to like it
Yeah, I
very
did. That was the thing that
Yeah.
really upset me. He's like,
And
I
you kept
really
being like, okay, well, maybe, because we're reading it, and I'm like, no. And he's like, well, yeah, no, you're right, but maybe. And it just didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
no,
like,
because
I wanted to give
very
notes.
good. Yeah.
I would give notes if I thought notes would be well received. But I'm afraid that if I give notes, I will be seen as some shithead who doesn't know anything about comics because fuck you, I'm a pro, and I didn't ask for your opinion, now go get fucked and I'm going to make everybody hate you.
Well,
That's my concern.
He made another 6 figures on his next book, so what do we know?
Well, I mean, Transformers made a lot of money.
Doesn't mean it was good.
What?
You ask Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill says it was edited in a Cuisinart. Personally, I liked that book. I don't fucking care. I mean, that movie. I liked the first movie. I don't care that Mila Kunis, or not Mila Kunis, what's her name?
Megan Fox?
I can't
Megan
do
Fox.
names. If you haven't noticed, I don't do names. I don't care that Megan Fox didn't act. She had, she was hot. I didn't care that Shia LaBeouf was goofy. He served his purpose. I didn't care that the editing was bad. It was fucking Transformers!
Yeah.
Could have been better.
Cool
Could have been better.
robots.
But,
It
yeah.
was fun.
Tall robots blowing shit up, fighting in the middle of a city with attitudes like the 80s cartoon that I used to watch.
I think it was the second one was bad, though.
Oh, I just liked the first one.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really,
Like, none
I
of
don't
the
even
rest of them
remember the second one.
exist.
Was the
You
second
must
one where
have-
all the dogs were
You
humping?
must
Yes.
have really liked
think
Pacific
so.
Rim.
I loved
Okay,
Pacific
Neff.
Rim.
Neff is never okay.
I thought Pacific Rim 1 was a lot of fun. There were
yeah.
plenty of holes in it, and I didn't care because I had a good time. Pacific Rim 2 was dumb as shit.
But
They fucked that up completely.
The animated on
Pacific Rim Black is fun too,
on
but
Netflix.
it's also very different than the original
Yes.
Pacific Rim because it takes place in like the future. And
Oh, wait.
well, I don't know where it takes place. It takes place in a completely different
Yeah, but
setting.
the dude has an Australian accent, doesn't he?
He does. I mean, but isn't fucking Charlie Hunnam Australian?
I don't know.
I don't know.
No, he's
More
English.
than meets the eye.
He's
But yeah,
definitely
I loved the mystery of
Pacific
Pacific
Rim job,
Rim.
you can get those for like $10 in San Fran.
I don't want to go to San Fran because the
I've
city is
heard.
full of poop.
I mean, he doesn't know. He's heard.
Just make sure you get a tetanus shot before you go to San
Right,
Francisco.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, sales it don't equate quality. Aldous is right, and that's the sad thing. Like, you can have some really incredible stuff. You can have a really well written book. You can have beautiful art. You can have everything necessary for success, and then just not make money. But it doesn't mean you weren't successful. You could create a very successful book,
Yeah.
right? A very good book, and then not achieve financial success
Right.
or success in the market. But that doesn't mean you're not going to, do a successful, I don't know. You know what I mean.
Honda sells lots of cars.
They do. Honda does sell lots of cars. The Honda Civic is a very affordable car.
Well, I mean, I do kind of wish we were still in the era like we did a few years back when first time creators who would never like sniff the mainstream could get books funded really easily, but then all that goodwill got burned up, and so now we're
How?
where we are today. So,
How'd that goodwill get burned up?
well, just by projects not funding, and so not funding, but not fulfilling and things like that. So it's happened. I mean, I think there's a lot more cynicism now towards first time creators than there used to be. So
Yeah, it also depends upon the book. I'll say that. Like Chad Townsend, he's done stuff with people, right? And his first book is that that Black something or other. I can't remember the name of it now.
Black
Phantom. Yeah, he did well, right? He succeeded pretty well.
Yeah.
I gotta say. I mean, there are creators that are coming back for a second time that are hitting bigger numbers than they did on their first ones. So
Right.
I think we do have growth. It just really depends on the situation. Everybody's different. There is a general trend line. I will agree with you. Crowdfunding has made overall less money this year than it did last year, which is down from the year before that. I don't have my charts up to date, but I would be shocked. Well, I guess actually that's not true because Ethan ran a new campaign.
Yeah, I think if you
just look at
take
Ethan,
out
if you don't look at Ethan, like
top
the numbers are going to be completely skewed from last year.
Well,
Aldous
he's
is-
a complete one-off. He's a one-off.
Yeah, but he completely fucks up the graphs.
Yeah.
Aldous says it was only that way because everyone was buying everything. Now people are buying what looks interesting. It's called a market maturing.
Yeah. I don't know if maturing is the right word, but it's certainly a market changing,
not the
yeah.
people.
Oh, okay, fair.
Brian says because
Well-
the pros can't fulfill is what he's saying.
Some pros can't. Some pros
can.
can crowdfund their books too early. That's what I think it is. Most of us are like told, hey, have your book mostly done when you go to crowdfunding. Don't sit on the book and then wait for a year to finish it before you start fulfilling. So I think a lot
just
of
on
people are crowdfunding their books too early. Like I'm still waiting on Black and White, right? I'm waiting on T-Bear's Black and White. It's been years, plural. But I don't think he was supposed to fulfill for the first year. So I think he might actually be on track. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But I remember backing it and then looking at the fulfillment date and been like, that can't be right. What?
Well, I mean, you still got Black Flag is out there somewhere.
That doesn't count.
Death Sworn.
Fragga doesn't
Death Sworn's
count.
out there,
Yeah.
So.
But those were all pre 2019, 2020. And we saw a lot of people getting funded 2019, 2020. Look at Broken Compass Comics. Look at Smokes the Fox. Look at Hojo. Look at like all of these newbie comic creators that came in. Look at let Dojo Kun. Look at Cobalt. Look at and we're talking about people who didn't really have like a lot of experience in the indie scene. I mean, I know Dojo had been putting out books before, but he came in, he got projects funded right out the gate, right?
Right.
Then there were guys like I can't remember the names of, like who did the God damn it, Mad Ruth. He was just in the chat, right?
Maybe.
And you had Octopus Cowboy, right? You get Joe Catapano coming in and funding. So this is 2019, 2020 was like an indie renaissance for newbies. And I don't know what happened after that. Like if that evaporated. I mean, like, sure, back in 2018,
All that stimulus.
2018 going into 2019, even 2017, books like Sovereign by Andrew Huerta I was my first book that I never got and never will. Like first book I got burned by. I'm still mad about that because it's a mecha book and I'm like, fuck you, Andrew Huerta. Yeah,
Mecha's a bad
fuck
name.
you.
Well, every once in a while he says he's still working on it. So.
Mobig says, in defense of my boy Art to Bear, a few years probably feels like a few days
Once you hit that age, it's all right. That's all right. Yeah.
Maddie Fowler says, even B Rose is shipping.
Yeah, shipping his anime characters.
Yeah,
No,
there you go.
actual books.
Tumblr fan fiction. Right? No, but that's the point. The point is that there was a lot of guys first timers doing shit 2019, 2020, even 2021, or maybe it was 2020, 2021. Maybe that was the year, and then 2020, and then or 2022 and 2023 is when the market tapered and went down, and I don't know why. Stimulus, sure, that had something to do with everyone having excess money, but it's maybe it's the economic downturn, maybe it's a loss of interest, maybe it's dissatisfaction with the product that they got backing the first timers. I don't know. Maybe people were like, these books suck, I'm not getting new ones.
This is the first time B-Rose shipped something besides Vegeta and Young Gonad.
Okay.
Instead of Vegeta.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, he's because it's Dragon Ball Z, so he couldn't say Vegeta.
Yeah, he can't. I get it.
There you go.
All right.
Well,
so
Violating his own ethos.
his own ethos. So do you want to tell me about some of the perks before we get out of here?
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of perks, but I have one tier that's pretty much, it's called the FERA files. It's my main perk tier, and it's an add-on. There's a patch that comes with it, the FERA patch, and it's got like a lot of like story information, a lot of the world building information. Got some short stories in there, including introductory short stories of the community service people. So
it's an add-on that you can add on to the main book, but you can also get it by itself.
yeah, it's a $10
So
add-on.
this
It doesn't
have
come
the
with the
book.
book.
Yeah, you can add it onto the book. It's a la carte.
You can add it on, but it doesn't come with the book itself.
Yeah, it's its own tier.
So the add-ons are on the top. So for add-ons, you can pay $10 for signature.
Really? Bruh, who wants your signature? You don't have any published work.
Well, it's just it was a tier I added on.
An option. Okay, I mean the digital copy
It's an option, yeah.
$10. The FERA files $10 is the add-on, and then there's the book, and the book is $25. How many pages are we looking at here?
Right now, it's looking more like 32, maybe more.
So you're doing a 32-page book, $25 plus shipping. What's shipping?
$5 shipping.
$5 shipping's pretty good. So that'd be $30 for a 32-page book. When you add on the FERA files, does it alter the shipping?
No, it's $5
Nice.
flat rate and everything.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Neff, you fool! This is how
You get in on the ground floor
Floor
of the T-Bunny autograph team.
the T-Bunny autograph game. Yeah, I didn't. Like, nobody knows me as a indie writer or as a publisher. I'm putting out my book, the first time book. I'm not going to sign it because I'm going to have people come to me to get it signed. But hey, to each their own, to everyone their own option. I would be curious to see at the end how popular that tier is. Like, I'm just of the overall percentage of backing that you get. How many people choose that add-on?
Well,
over the FERA
basically, I'm first time creator. I did research, and that seemed to be a tier that people added on for about that price. So that's why I put it there. I got the both cover artists are willing to sign the book.
We're still
And so it's all three signatures.
worse than before.
Probably because I maybe minimized my screen again. No. Matrix scene.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah. Well.
I think T-Bunny is burning a hole in your internet with his laser eyes after you mocked his autograph tier.
I didn't mock his autograph tier, Mo. I told the truth about his autograph tier. If it was mockery, I would be making fun of him for doing it. I simply pointed out he's a first-time writer. He has no established credibility to his name. I am in the same boat. I'm not putting myself above or anywhere. I'm putting him next to me, and I'm just surprised that you could get the FERA files add-on document, or for the same price, T-Bunny can sign your book. I just think it's weird.
Well, I'm going to have Out of Obscurity out by then, so people will be able to read.
Oh, okay.
So
hopefully your name will have come out of obscurity.
But
There you go.
Right.
That's why we called it that.
So you have faced some hurdles in your career so far, of your campaign, I should say, not in your career. You've faced some hurdles on your campaign. What was the biggest hurdle you've had to overcome, and how did you do so?
Well, I lost all my biggest backers right before I was supposed to go live with the campaign, and
Wait. How did you lose your backers?
I had a tweet go awry, and pretty much made me. Anyway, I had a tweet go awry, and it pretty much made me persona non grata to some of the people who I was kind of counting on, and so it's pretty well documented on my channel. But it's just there's some resources.
So I remember the tweet. It was something about Eric July and Fun My Comic and whatever. And to save face, the people at Fun My Comic had to kind of like disown you and say, hey, he doesn't speak for us, because all of the July stands were getting mad at you. But why did that cost you your backers? That's what I don't understand. If people are going to be like, oh, T-Bunny said something stupid. T-Bunny said something stupid, so I can't be friends with him in public. Is that actually going to damage their relationship with you in private to the point where they're going to yank their financial funding from your project and let you potentially fail after being your friend for however long and talking up your book? It's kind of weird.
Well, this was perceived as a whole entire pattern to where, I'd run afoul of people before in the past. And so, this was like, just one bridge too far for a lot of people. So I don't blame anybody for, because it was a hell of a fallout. I mean, it was there were people like harassing Luke for weeks and weeks after that. And it was just I it was, that's what the biggest challenge was. That's the biggest challenge.
That's fair. So a unfortunate social media interaction was your greatest hurdle.
One tweet can take the whole thing down. One tweet can take the whole
thing down. Says, F people who enjoy comics was a terrible tweet to make right before the launch.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Be careful and mind your social media is kind of the lesson to learn from that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't even erroneous. It was just the way it was taken. So I mean, it's just the nature of social media,
Right. So do you think that would have been better if you stayed off social media and didn't post, or posted exclusively about the book? How could you utilize social media to your benefit to help your campaign and minimize the potential damage and fallout?
Well, if all you do is share your book, that's also negative too. So
exactly,
you just
it's
have
perceived
to
as
balance.
boring. Yeah,
you just
and they're not wrong. That shit's boring.
Our mercenary, you care about is but you just have to maintain a balance, and just don't tweet tired, which is what I was doing.
Kofifi.
Yeah, there you go. So there's several things that hit all at once, and
Snuggy says, "Show more skin."
He's got some pinups, Snuggy. I don't know if you've seen the beefcake.
Yeah, there you go. But no, I basically I was just exhausted, and still am.
There you go, Snug.
So there you go. There's some skin.
We're showing skin for you.
Like that purple. Who did this pinup, and have they ever been to the beach before?
That is Tank Ferret did the art, and the colors was Mika from Barbesco Comics. So
gotcha. I mean, Tank's figure work is pretty good. I'll definitely say I like the way he made. Okay.
Like, you don't know how to finish that sentence.
One thing. Mm-hmm. What the fuck is going on with the pipe? I remember seeing this pinup for the first time, and I flipped out on people because of the pipe. Because I have never brought a pipe to the beach. I would imagine sand could get in the pipe. It's hard to light the pipe in the wind, because you have to like the pipe. And I know the whole like oral phallic fixation and everything, but we're not gonna talk about that. Why does Ironside smoke a pipe?
It's just old fashioned, I mean,
Is there a crack in that pipe?
no, it's tobacco.
Missed opportunity. Missed opportunity.
Well, it could be crack. I don't know.
What's up with that?
Right?
Different kind of pipe. Different kind of pipe.
Well, you gotta understand,
Yeah,
he's from
it
a
counts.
different. He's primarily from a different era, so
Like
Popeye was from a different era too. He wore a one-piece bathing suit.
he had a pipe and a can of spinach.
There you go.
You haven't
There you
lived. Okay, so I guess it was the different
we do
type of pipe.
We do pipe wrong. We do the beach wrong.
I guess we do the beach. A different type of pipe than kind of like the tobacco pipe. But I guess back then, back in the day, being from that age, you did that at you had your little tobacco pouch that I don't know. It struck me as odd as something to put in his hand. It's like, why a pipe? Whatever. That's just me though. I get fixed on things, stuck on things. I like the picture above it. Looks very cool, like an old photograph. I really appreciate Ironside's in his prime. I love the chest hair too. The chest hair looks great. I just want to like pull out chunks of it. Yeah, definitely.
There you go.
Have you been on Tumblr?
Yeah, would you be mad if I wrote an Ironsides fanfic?
Go ahead.
Ooh, Ironsides and Batman.
The
old
old
sea
sea
captains.
captains represent.
All right, Mo. All right. You're right. I guess my like astonishment at the pipe may have been overreaction. That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right. Great. So, is there anything else you want to talk about before we kick off here?
Well,
Knock off.
make sure you check out also while you're on Fund My Comic browsing around, check out of Obscurity also. It's nearly 85 pages, 8 solid stories, some really great characters that fell into public domain. Some of them are really
Ooh,
should be
did
more
you do
popular
Judex
than
yet?
they were. No,
we did
well,
that.
the funds haven't been there, but I've been wanting to.
I went
back
snug
it,
one.
definitely.
No. I meant like, did you, out of Obscurity, did someone do Judex? That would have been neat. Could do a Maltese Falcon kind of thing.
Well, we did the first. We've got Solomon Kane in there. We've got the first Ghost Rider, Rex Blades.
That's cool. Yeah, I saw that story. Actually, I saw that story and I was like, yes, that's very interesting.
Yep. Korek, son of Tarzan. Super old guy, or super guy, but and we also got Bronze Terror, which is
Not
going to be
Black
part
Terror.
of the Chrome Dog universe. No.
Yeah, makes sense. Chrome, bronze. Yeah. Why isn't Iron Sides in the Chrome Dog universe? Makes sense, right? We're playing on the metal themes.
Different worlds.
Which one did you write?
I wrote Ghost Rider.
Yeah,
The
that's what I
second one.
thought.
Yep. It's that one right there. Yeah.
Fowler goes, Fatty. Fowler goes, oh yeah, I'm in that book. And so is Jose Beckett. Mo says, Raiden had the Zippo. You could have had the pipe with free seaweed. That would have been really good.
Yep. Didn't
All
think
right.
of it.
Well,
Yep. So that's a Tower That Time Forgot. That's by Aaron, Immortal Rising. Jose Garcia did the art for it. The Clock Strikes, which is RJ's first foray into comic writing. RJ from Critical Blast.
Yeah.
And
We
there's going to
skipped
be...
over Maddie Fowler's, which was
Yeah, whatever. Everybody knows Maddie Fowler is Maddie Fowler, whatever.
Yeah. Well, Randy Zimmerman's going to write a story. It's a stretch goal. So it's going to be 8 stories, about 7 to 8 pages each. all of them were.
Oh, there's a Shea
That's
commission.
right. I'm like, did Shay do something in this book?
She's doing a commission for it. Yeah. Yeah, there's a Kevin McDougal and Luke Stone commission also.
Cool. Bet you
Don
guys
Edwards.
want
Don
chibi
Edwards.
stickers now, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. I saw Daredevil or not Daredevil down there at the bottom. He was.
No,
balloon
that's
back
that's
up.
Spanx the monkey. Yeah, that's
Spanx the monkey.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But he's dressed
Who's
as
dressed
not
as not Daredevil.
because there's a boomerang.
Yeah.
But you never got your boomerang.
No. Mark said he couldn't make the boomerang work.
Oh,
it was
that's right.
unfortunate.
Yep.
Yeah. I was the only one who backed a
Spanx,
tier, and he was like, "I don't understand why you even wanted that." Because it was on the campaign, and I want a boomerang.
I want a boomerang
Yeah.
because it's Neff.
Yeah. Spanx is part of the campaign. He's going to
Yeah.
be the host or whatever. So.
Oh, cool. So he's kind of like bringing the stories together, like the
Was it
Crypt
like
Keeper,
the
or
narrator?
like
Or like,
Crom.
Whoa! Or like
Oh wait, no, Crom was in all the stories.
Yeah.
He's not like
Like
Mr. Yeah, Mr.
Fantastic.
CG.
No. Yeah, Mr.
Yeah, yeah. Whoa,
Yeah.
yeah. Where's Ape Man?
Yeah. So it's it's
Very good, very good, Snuggie.
nearly 90 pages material, and it's gonna for that price. So it's a really great deal. I've seen all these scripts. All those scripts are very solidly written, and some of the artists all did a great job.
So you read all of the scripts, or you saw the scripts?
I saw all but didn't see Maddie Fowler's, and I didn't see
Maddie Fowler doesn't write scripts.
Yeah, well,
Scripts write Maddie Fowler. I don't know.
Well, Luke Stone did see all the scripts, and he did the editing on all the scripts, and he said
Well,
it
that's
was
good.
He was
Yeah.
trying to make a joke about how awesome Maddie is. Like,
Yeah,
he
it's
doesn't
the
need to
I don't
write
read
them.
scripts. Scripts
Yeah.
reads me.
Well,
from Tropic Thunder.
I know how.
I mean,
awesome
you're
Maddie
making me want this. You're actually making me want it. You know, telling me that
Yeah.
like Luke Stone read everything and edited it, and everyone thinks it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, because if it's not, then I get to turn around and be like, y'all ain't shit. But
Well, it's like super guy was actually Charlton Comics, and he was left behind when Charlton Comics bought up DC bought up most of the characters from Charlton Universe because they already had Superman, so they didn't take Super Guy with them, and so Jared the Frost Comics he thought, well, the guy would be about 85 by now, and he's like, what if he's still, tooling around in his suit, And so he wrote a story about this guy going for senior day at a supermarket, and it turns out the same day it's being robbed, and so it's like Mr. Magoo and One Punch Man, the superhero comics all put in a blender, and it's pretty hilarious. So. This guy basically goes shopping and he doesn't even know it's being robbed, and so it's a really funny story. But the rest of them are a little bit more serious than that one, but that one's like really lighthearted. So
I like that. I like breaking up the like how serious things can be, how serious stories take themselves with a little bit of levity in the middle. It's nice to get like a palate cleanse.
right.
Maddie says, I write an artist script and dialogue script that I only show the proofreader and letterer. You probably saw the artist script.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
I always tell my artist what my dialogue is going
So
to
they
be,
can even-
so they can figure out where they want to put the room for the balloons and the tails, so it doesn't fuck up the art flow.
yeah, I
Sometimes they
include
actually
both
listen.
myself.
Sometimes they listen. Yeah, other times I have to tell them, no, you fucked up. Stop fucking up.
Redo it. Thick it.
Yeah, I include both myself, the panel and the dialogue. So, but yeah, so yeah, take a look at that. Also, while you're back in community service, while you're over at Fund My Comic, checking out what's over there. So, highly
The link
suggested.
is pinned in the chat, and it's also in the description under the video.
Oh, I
Awesome.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you so much for hanging out with T Bunny. It's been 2 hours, one of
my
our
goodness.
longest shows that we've ever done. Probably because I just started talking about ridiculous Iron Man stuff in the beginning, and then Tumblr and
Yeah.
man
It's been a wild ride, folks.
pipes. And
Man,
all right.
I don't remember that part, but okay.
Appreciate you hanging out with us, man. Thank you so much to the wonderful
No problem.
chat for coming in and watching this show and sitting through 2 hours of nonsense with
We
us.
appreciate you.
Thank you for my wonderful co-host. I never thank you, but it's
You
probably
don't.
time that I start.
I
If
like
you
this.
enjoyed the content, click the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Really don't give a fuck. Sub if you're not subbed already, and don't forget to click the bell for notifications.
And tune into the frequency.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Click, 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 click.